What is going on, everybody? It is Lay the House, or I'm here, and I'm sharing my daily fantasy and sports betting picks and plays for this Thursday, August 15th slate. There are 7 MLB games on today. There's 3 WNBA games on tonight, so we're going to find value in both those sports. We're going to be using the tools on OddsShopper.com and DGFantasy.com, also known as Daily Grind Fantasy. These are both paid subscription websites, and we are going to be using both of their fantasy optimizers to find the best values on the board for Underdog Fantasy, Prizepicks, and Sleeper. If you want to check out Daily Grind Fantasy, or if you want to check out OddsShopper, I have links for discount codes in the description below, and you can check it out and see how I make my plays every single day. If you want to reach out to me, and if you have any questions about these products, or want to try them out yourselves, just reach out to me in Discord or send me a DM. I'm always open to help you guys out, and we all just want to make money here. So before we get into the plays for today, let's take a look at how we did yesterday. So on Underdog Fantasy here, I had a pretty solid day. I only put out 3 plays for you all. I cashed 2 of them. One of them is right here in front of us with Mountcastle going under on the bases, Tyler Anderson going under on the fantasy points, and Alex Bregman also going under on the fantasy points. Still waiting for this to pay out from Underdog Fantasy. And then I also cashed a promotion on Underdog as well with, which here it is, DJ Hers, higher than 3.5 strikeouts, and Brandon Nimmo lower than 1.5 total bases. So really solid day for me on Underdog Fantasy yesterday. I was 1 leg away from a nice win on Sleeper, but as you can tell in the big win section in the Discord, a lot of people had some really good days. So I had a bunch of wins on Fliff. I posted a video about that. These are my 2 wins on Underdog Fantasy. Dami Locks with a nice win. He actually made over almost $1,000 yesterday between Parlay Play, Underdog Fantasy, and Sleeper. So really nice job, Dami Locks, with giving winners to everyone else. If you aren't in the Discord server yet, it is free to join. It's the best Discord community out there when it comes to sports betting. I have so much free information for you guys out there. There's a whole section on betting education. I have a whole section where I post my fantasy plays, so that's where I post all my plays for Underdog Fantasy, Prizepicks, and Sleeper. I have a section for my sports betting picks where I post all my regular sports betting picks. That's for Hard Rock, Fliff, and Thrills, and some other sports betting apps. If you want to see that kind of content, I'll probably make some more videos where it's more sports betting specific. This video is mainly for daily fantasy and pick'em plays. We have 2 other sections here. Dami Locks, he posts free plays every single day for Sleeper, Underdog Fantasy, and Parlay Play as well. And then Zach Betts is a traditional sports bettor, so he posts a lot of parlays for Bet365 and regular sports betting picks as well. And then there's also the general chatting section for all the specific sports. So, like I said, if you're not in the Discord server yet, it's a great place to be. It's free to join, and the link is found in the description below and also in the pinned comment below. So, all right. Now let's head over to Underdog Fantasy here, see which promotions they have for us. So, today we're actually going to use that Angel Reese over 0.5 points on Underdog Fantasy. It's a free win. We'll probably just combine it with one other play, so we just need to go 1 for 1 to win 3 times our entry fee, usually $10. I think that's what the max normally is, so we'll definitely max that out, and I'll post a play for that. But let's head over to OddsShopper and see which values are the best on the board on their Underdog entry builder. So this is what OddsShopper.com looks like. It's a little bit cheaper than Daily Grind Fantasy and cheaper than OddsJam as well, but it's more specific on props, and it's going to give you a little bit less plays. So I prefer OddsShopper to make plays on Underdog Fantasy, Sleeper, and Prizepicks compared to OddsJam. But if you're trying to decide between OddsShopper and Daily Grind Fantasy, it's really beneficial to either have both or just use Daily Grind Fantasy just because there's a little bit more information for you. Because OddsShopper doesn't really account for fantasy points. It doesn't have esports. Daily Grind Fantasy is more catered to the pick'em websites, whereas OddsShopper is more catered to just the regular sports betting props. So I use both these sites every single day. Obviously, this is how I make my videos and how I take my plays and make them on Underdog Fantasy, Prizepicks, and Sleeper. So the top plays on Underdog Fantasy right now, based on the tool in OddsShopper, are Nick Castellanos under 1.5 total bases, Real Muto also under on the bases, Logan Webb under on hits allowed, Kalea Cooper under on 23.5 points, so that's a WNBA right there. And then Corey Seager under 1.5 total bases, and I wouldn't go any lower than those 5. These are the best 5 values on the board right now, according to the OddsShopper Underdog Fantasy Optimizer or Entry Builder. And if I was making a play with these plays, I would just go from top down. So I would go Nick Castellanos under on the bases. I would ignore Real Muto because you don't want to have 2 players from the same team because it's going to dock your pay a little bit. We're going to go Logan Webb under on the hits allowed. And then we're going to go Kalea Cooper under on the points. You see it's a 5% expected value, so for every $100 you'll play on this, you're expected to get $5 back on average, over the long term. So that's what expected value means. Over a large sample, you're expected to get $5 profit for every $100. So it's just kind of a way of looking at it, but this is a really good value in Underdog Fantasy. This is a play that I'm going to probably place myself with Castellanos, Webb, and Copper. I will be posting this in the Discord server, so if you're not in there yet, like I said, you need to join it. Now let's head over to Daily Grind Fantasy and look at the Underdog Fantasy Optimizer there for MLB and WNBA for today. Top plays on the board, Ohtani under 2 total bases. The reason why this is popping out so good because the number on every other sports betting website is 1.5. Underdog Fantasy has it at 2, so it's probably going to drop down to 1.5 at some point today. Or they'll even pull the line in general, but it's a solid play for Shohei Ohtani under on the bases. I know it's a scary play. No one likes to take unders on Ohtani or like Judge or Soto or anything, but this is where the value lies. The value usually lies in unders in baseball. Looking at some WNBA plays here towards the top, there's a bunch of them. Copper under 29.5 points and rebounds. It's probably going to move down to 28.5 at some point today because it's 28.5 on all the other sports books except for Underdog. Stevens here over 12 points. This number really should be 12.5, so it's going to move. Atkins under 14 points. Same scenario. It's at 14 on Underdog. Should be 13.5. Probably will move by the time you watch this video, but it might not. So there is some good value there. These other plays here, these 5 or these 4, where it's just comparing the line on Underdog to the line on FanDuel, I generally take with a grain of salt because you want to compare as many books as possible to Underdog Fantasy to show which one's the wrong one. So, like, if you're looking at Underdog Fantasy and FanDuel for Natasha Howard's points and rebounds here, we don't know which one's the value. One of them, the value could be FanDuel. So, like, every other book could post their line at 22.5, and that means FanDuel's the value and Underdog is not. Or maybe Underdog's the value. Every other book can post their line at 21.5 or lower, and then 22.5 is way too high, and that's where the value lies in Underdog Fantasy. So that's why it's difficult to compare just 2 sports books to each other. You really need 3 or more to get a decent sample to kind of see which value shows. And the way you filter for that is by changing the minimum data points to 3 or even 2 if you wanted to. I think 2 would actually do the trick, right? Yeah, so 2 would do the trick where you're comparing more than 1 to 1. You're comparing 1 to maybe 2 or more. So this is how we're going to find some more plays here. Jack Flaherty under 2 earned runs allowed is a solid play. You see all the other major sportsbooks have it at 2.5, but it's heavily juiced to the under on 2.5 earned runs allowed. Sabali over 18.5 points and assists. Tobias Myers under 15.5 outs. These are all very strong plays. Brianna Jones over 19.5 points and rebounds. Ariel Atkins under on the points. Courtney Williams over on the rebounds. And we just keep going on the list here. So if you want to look at some more baseball plays, we'll get a little bit lower here with Seager under on the bases. I believe that was showing on OddsShopper. It was, and it's still a decent value. So there is some overlap between the 2 tools, as you can see. Keep going down with some more baseball. Yastrzemski over on total bases. Jose Quintana over on hits allowed. Max Fried over hits allowed. Logan Webb under hits allowed. And then anything below this, there's probably no need to try to search for value even deeper than this because there's so many plays here towards the top that you don't need to place every single one of these. But pretty much anything over, say, 51.5% or even 52% is usually a solid value on OddsShopper or on Daily Grind Fantasy. So these are some good plays for Underdog Fantasy. Now let's head over to Prizepicks, see if there's anything good on Prizepicks today. Prizepicks is actually giving us a lot of good value the last couple of days. It just sucks that I live in the state of Florida, and if you live in an arena state, you really can't take advantage of the value because you can't make a 5-pick flex play or a 6-pick flex play. Those flex plays where you win, say, 0.4x if you go 3 out of 5. You win double your money if you go 4 out of 5, and then you win 10x your money if you go 5 for 5. Those are the ones that have the most value. So if you're on Prizepicks, do those 5-pick or 6-pick flex plays. If you're on Prizepicks at an arena state, honestly, just stay away from it outside of Taco Tuesday and the Flex Friday promotions. Anytime you get a free win or a free entry, that's really the only time you should be playing on Prizepicks if you're in an arena state like the state of Florida. So, top plays on Prizepicks, there is some overlap here. Castellanos, Real Muto again, Copper, Logan Webb under on hits allowed, Courtney Williams under 4.5 rebounds, Lawrence Butler under 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. Same thing with Toro and Matt Olson. And then Courtney Williams points is pretty much an even money, and same thing with Bryce Harper. If you want to generate the optimal play on Prizepicks for one of those 6 picks flex plays, you see 14% expected value. That is really good, but it doesn't take into account 40 correlated plays, so we need to remove one of Castellanos and Real Muto. So I'm going to remove Real Muto because it's slightly less of a value, so we got the 5-pick play. 8% EV, which is still really good, with Castellanos under on the bases, Copper under points, Logan Webb under hits allowed, Courtney Williams under rebounds, and Lawrence Butler under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Heading over to Daily Grind Fantasy, looking at the Prizepicks Optimizer tool. If it wants to load for me here, we're going to filter for the WNBA and the MLB. And then we're going to change our minimum data points to 2 again, just so we could, filter out the fluff. So Jack Flaherty under on the fantasy score. Same thing with Gunnar, Logan Webb, Santander, Quintana, Trey Turner over on the fantasy score. Then we see some overlap here with, Courtney Williams, Tobias Myers over 4.5 pitcher strikeouts. Another solid prop for you guys. Sabali, again, points and assists on the under. Royce Lewis over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. And you guys get the gist here. So you guys can just go on the list and see what the top plays on the board here for you all on Prizepicks. I don't have any personal plays for you all on Prizepicks today because it's not a Flex Friday or a Taco Tuesday, and they don't have any free wins for me to play, so I probably won't post any entries for it, but I will have plays in Underdog Fantasy so you can see those, and I'll definitely be using some plays from the tools, just like that one that we built earlier, using the Optimizer tool on OddsShopper. Last but not least, we're just going to stick to OddsShopper here. We're going to go to Sleeper and see which values are on Sleeper at the moment. Sleeper's been hit or miss. There's been some days where there's a lot of value. There's some days where there's not a lot of value. Right now, there is some really good value on Sleeper. So Copper under 4.5 rebounds, Lindor under 1.5 total hits, Jack Flaherty under 18.5 pitching outs, and Ariel Adkins under 13.5 points. If you combine all 4 of these plays together, you're going to get a pretty solid payout of 8.5x with 10% EV. Really good play here. Honestly, this is, I'm 100% making this play on Sleeper. I will be posting in the Discord. I like this a lot. If you aren't comfortable doing the 4-pick play, I would take off Atkins and just go with the 3, where it's a 4.5x payout at 9% EV. And honestly, you can almost make it on a 2-play, but you need at least a 3x entry payout. So that's why it might not work for you guys. But these 4 plays on Sleeper are just really strong values right now, and I would just mix and match them any way you want. You could do 3 here with Copper, Lindor, and Flaherty. If you don't want to go with Flaherty and you'd rather go with Atkins, just put Atkins in. There's still good value on it. Any way you mix and match those 4 plays, there is a good value, as long as you're pretty much including Copper. Or if you just go with this other 3, I mean, it's solid either way. Any of those 4 plays are the best plays on Sleeper for today. So if you want to see regular sports betting picks and sports betting content, you'll see that in the Discord server. I might make a second video or do some live streams for those because it's a little tough, because positive expected value on regular sports betting is all about getting ahead of line movement, and I use a tool on OddsJam to make those plays, and I post them in the Discord server. So if you want to see those plays, join Discord, drop a like on the video, and subscribe if you like this kind of content, and best of luck on your plays today. Thanks for watching, guys.